There was a girl named Lena once. She entered the world with the same innocent spark as any child, curious, full of laughter, chasing butterflies in the garden and whispering secrets to the stars. Life seemed like an endless adventure then, painted in bright hues of possibility. But the shadows crept in early. Her home wasn't a sanctuary, it was a minefield. Father vanished for days, lost in his bottles, and when he returned, his words crashed like thunder. Mother retreated into her own fog of sorrow, leaving Lena to navigate the storms alone. She became a ghost in her own house, learning to fade into walls, to swallow her tears, to pretend the bruises, both seen and unseen, weren't there. No apologies ever came, no acknowledgments, just the endless charade of normalcy, the family portrait that hid the fractures beneath. What truly scarred Lena wasn't merely the pain, it was the erasure of it. The way adults around her acted as if nothing was amiss, forcing her to doubt her own reality. It's not that bad, they'd say, or worse, say nothing at all. This denial seeped into her like venom, twisting her perceptions. The human psyche is tough, built to endure, but it's not unbreakable. Trauma doesn't linger as a distant echo. It lodges in the bones, reshapes the brain's wiring, alters how one views safety, trust, and self-worth. It whispers lies. You're invisible, you're flawed, you're alone in a world that spins without you. As Lena grew, so did her armor, a polished exterior of smiles and achievements. She excelled in school, charmed friends, adapted to every room she entered. But inside it was barren, like a garden choked by weeds where nothing genuine could bloom. Unhealed wounds create a divide within. Sigmund Freud spoke of the unconscious as a repository for repressed pains. But it's more than that. It's a pressure cooker. Lena inherited not just genes, but a legacy of unspoken grief, emotional voids passed down like heirlooms. She didn't shatter overnight. It began subtly. Restless nights where sleep evaded her, a nagging sense that danger lurked even in calm moments. Then the doubts crept in, the irritability, the self-doubt that gnawed like termites. Trust became a myth. Every connection felt fragile, ready to snap. In love, she built walls higher than before, testing partners with unspoken trials, pulling close only to shove away in fear. Intimacy turned into a chess game where she anticipated betrayal at every move. She sought help sporadically, confiding in a counselor about the numbness, the fragmented dreams, the stranger in her reflections. They labeled it stress, mood swings, but diagnoses skimmed the surface. The real beast was the buried hurt she couldn't name. Ignored trauma doesn't vanish. It festers in the shadows, waiting for a crack to emerge. For Lena, it surfaced in waves, compulsive habits to control the chaos, bursts of anger that surprised even her, isolation that felt safer than vulnerability. She started hearing echoes, not literal voices at first, but internal monologues that spiraled, replaying old scenes with new venom. Mirrors became enemies. She'd stare and see a distorted version, a hollow shell mimicking life. Friends noticed the shift. "You've changed," they'd say, but the truth was, this was always brewing. The facade had simply worn thin. That's the hidden truth of descending into chaos. It's not a sudden plunge into lunacy. It's depletion. The spirit tires of the act. When someone has armored themselves against their history for years, suppressing the raw edges of fear and loss, the mind eventually buckles. It's not a defect, it's a natural rebellion. The psyche is a delicate weave of experiences, feelings, convictions, and narratives. Saturate it with unresolved agony and neglect, and the threads unravel. Lena began perceiving connections where none existed, synchronicities in daily life, like a song on the radio echoing her thoughts, or a passerby's glance holding hidden meaning. She called them signs, convinced the cosmos was unraveling a code just for her. In reality, her brain, desperate for structure amid the turmoil, was fabricating patterns to fill the voids left by unaddressed pain. This is the deceptive nature of lingering wounds. They masquerade as intuition, fury, even enlightenment, but at the core is a young girl pleading, "See me, protect me, make it right." By the time it escalates, the plea is drowned in distortion. Society shuns such states, viewing them as threats or spectacles. Lena became a whisper among acquaintances, a what happened to her tale. She wasn't fragile by nature. She was resilient beyond measure, holding the pieces together until the weight crushed her. Some label it insanity, but thinkers like R.D. Laing reframed it as a journey through the inner wilderness, a confrontation with suppressed truths. For Lena, it didn't feel poetic. It was a vortex, dragging her into primal depths where logic frayed and emotions roared unchecked. Symbols invaded her world, not words, but fragments. Recurring dreams of locked doors, whispers in empty rooms, a sense of being pursued by invisible forces. The descent isn't abrupt. It's a gradual erosion, like ice melting under subtle heat. Outsiders might claim she lost it in a moment, but they missed the prelude, the quiet evenings of despair, the unshared burdens, the invisible scars accumulating. Bury the history, and it doesn't perish. It multiplies, becoming spectral presences that demand reckoning. Lena carried not just recollections, but the cumulative load of rejection, bewilderment, guilt, and muffled sorrow. Every childhood silence amplified into adult echoes, every unvoiced cry rebounding louder. This blurs the boundary between reason and unraveling. Psychologists discuss the adaptive persona, the constructed identity forged for endurance, not authenticity. It dons disguises, echoes expectations, entombs the genuine self so deeply that rediscovery feels impossible. But that core doesn't fade, it simmers. One day the veneer splinters. The role can't sustain the strain. What's revealed? The underbelly, the suppressed wrath, the deferred mourning, the inner voice insisting you deserved better than this emptiness. Going mad, in essence, isn't pathology or curse. It's the mind's uprising against deception. It's the howl of a silenced essence. Paradoxically, it's an opportunity. When structures crumble, illusions dissolve, and the familiar shatters, you're confronted with raw honesty, the potential for rebirth. But it's raw, unfiltered. Lena's honesty unveiled the neglect, the invalidation, the unseen child within. For decades, she minimized it. It wasn't that severe, yet it was. It always was. Abraham Maslow touched on self-actualization as embracing the full spectrum, but healing demands confronting the abyss. It requires surfacing what was submerged, enduring the flood of deferred emotions. That's daunting because beneath the detachment lies fragility, the need to soften, to lament. Mourning is a form of surrender, a temporary dissolution. Lena turned to expression, not for resolution at first, but release. She journaled wildly. Sketches of fractured faces, repeated mantras like, "I mattered then," pages smeared with ink and tears. This wasn't therapy yet. It was exorcism, granting space for fury, sorrow, authenticity. In that vulnerability, a flicker emerged, possibility. Recovery doesn't spark from optimism or resolve. It ignites in truth, rooted in ache. She returned to counseling, this time raw, no pretenses, just the floodgates open. She grieved the stolen innocence, the perpetual vigilance, the chaos that once seemed senseless but now revealed patterns of survival. She wasn't fixed overnight, but the fog lifted incrementally. She realized the turmoil wasn't adversarial, it was a signal, a demand from neglected facets to be heard. Opening to them didn't destroy her, it integrated her. If you're teetering on that edge, where reality frays and you feel irreparably damaged, hear this. You're not shattered beyond mending. You're concealed beneath layers of defense. Renewal isn't reinvention. It's reclaiming the essence predating the hurt. Begin with stillness, not the void of numbness but attentive quiet. Express deliberately. Vent, create, move, weep without judgment. Seek depths beyond labels. Explore works like Trauma and Recovery by Judith Herman, The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious. By Carl Jung, Waking the Tiger by Peter A. Levine, It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolin. These aren't fixes, they're lanterns illuminating hidden paths, empowering inquiry. Above all, don't strive for flawlessness. Pursue genuineness, to gaze upon your reflection and embrace the familiar stranger. The world craves authenticity over perfection, survivors who've navigated the depths and returned with wisdom. Lena's story isn't unique, it's a mirror for many. The path from trauma to turmoil to transformation is arduous, but it's traversable. Honor your wounds. They hold the keys to wholeness. In facing the madness, you reclaim your sanity, not as before, but deeper, more resilient. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.